Good evening and welcome to another edition of Bshani Love. I'm your host, Benny Randall Jr., aka the Concierge of Love. And today, like all days, we have another powerful and wonderful show. But before we begin, just in case you haven't done so, visit us on BshaniLove.com. That's BSHANI love.com and get on our VIP mailing list. Alrighty? This show is being brought to you by Bshani Network right here on BshaniLove.com. On today's show, we have a very beautiful young lady, and we're going to be discussing love and relationships. Her name is Sienna. She's a very smart and intelligent young lady, not famous, but just very smart, very intelligent, and has her own powerful opinions about love and relationship. Sienna, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you on here, and the whole purpose of this show is to have open and honest conversations about love and relationships, dating, and sex. So I appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule to join us.
Absolutely. I'm definitely very passionate about this particular topic and can't wait to see how we dive into it.
Well, all right. I wish y'all could see her. She has such beautiful eyes sitting in here. Just, whoa, it's just intense. Let me start off by like this. Sienna, what does love mean to you?
I think love is the culmination of giving and receiving and understanding the relationship between two people.
That was such a PC answer. I know you didn't just wake up with that type of answer, and I want you to open up and elaborate a little bit. Have you been in love, and are you in love right now?
I am currently in love.
So tell me, before you got to this point where you are in love at this moment, what happened prior to being in love?
Fun times? I mean,
Ooh, we don't want to dive into that, boy.
Well, I mean,
please do elaborate, please.
I mean, it's all part of exploration and understanding what exactly it is that you want and trying to like wade through the seas of people to find that one person that you actually have a genuine connection with. And in the meantime, you're going to meet an interesting slew of characters who may not necessarily be the right one for you, but they might be the right one at that time.
So let me ask you like this. What happened prior to finding love, and how did you get to this point in your life that you can even recognize what love is? Tell me about maybe one or two of your relationships prior to finding the relationship you're in right now, and what went wrong.
Okay, I suppose the most prominent one happened probably maybe a year before I found my significant other, or it ended like rather badly, but I suppose that it could have all been avoided. Like they say, hindsight is 20/20, but we started off just like as friends, casually talking, and kind of developed into something more over a period of time. We started going out, and then he broke up with me after perhaps a week or two to go out with some other female. And then that apparently didn't work out, so we rekindled whatever flames we had before. But at that point, you kind of lose trust of that person.
So how long were you guys dating before he decided he wanted to have more than one woman?
It wasn't that he decided to have more than one woman. He just decided I wasn't the one for him at that moment. And I don't know what type of history they had before, but that's neither here nor there. So we'd been together, or at least talking in some capacity, for like a couple months, maybe a month, like 2 or 3.
So you guys were truly friends, or were you friends trying to figure out whether you need to step it up into a relationship?
We were friends trying to figure out whether we need to step it up.
So there was an immediate attraction.
There was.
Wow. Now, this is what I don't understand. If there's already a immediate attraction, why not just start getting to know each other right from that point? Why play friends? I guess what I'm trying to say.
I mean, because it's really a matter of how quickly do you want to enter into a commitment. You can start off as friends and start to get to know each other, and that's still a quote unquote safe zone to be in before you actually step in and say, okay, I want to take the next step and be exclusive with this one person and actually devote myself to possibly being in a relationship with this person and all the responsibilities that comes with. So that nice friend period is like, I guess it's like a trial period to see if you can actually be together.
So is it my understanding that you guys were attracted to each other, but you wasn't quite sure whether you wanted to actually be with each other at that level?
Yeah, I mean, being attracted to someone doesn't necessarily mean that you're compatible with that person either. So there are plenty of very attractive people that you just don't mesh with.
So why get involved if it means that it's not somebody that you're compatible with? I don't
Well,
get
that's
it.
where that friend period comes in, and you determine what type of relationship do you want to be in with this person, if it's serious or if it's just casual.
Now, do you think most men and women should be friends before they actually get into a relationship?
Definitely.
And why is that?
I think you're a lot more open to understanding who that other person is before you actually dive into any sort of intimacy with that other person. Like you actually take the time to understand who that person is and to look at them for who they are.
Do you think that having that delay, of being friends, do you think that helps or hurts the relationship in the end? Like, there's people who get in a relationship who are never friends and then they stay together for long periods of time, and then there are people who start out as friends and become in relationships and then they don't last, and vice versa. It can work either way. But have you found that it makes more sense to be friends prior to getting involved in a serious relationship, or it doesn't matter?
I mean, that's a very subjective question, and like you said, it very much depends on the person. There are some people who need to know the person for several years before they actually create that lasting bond with the person, and then there are others who, day one, night one, they hit it off, things get frisky, and they're still together 20, 30 years down the line. It's very subjective. From my personal experience, I mean, it's gone either way for me. The man that I'm currently in love with, we weren't like friends for all that long before we actually decided to get into a relationship. But I have had others who we were friends, like genuinely platonic friends, and then things just developed and it worked out to some degree, and then it didn't.
Wow, that's powerful. So are you telling me the man you're in love with right now, how was it different from all the other relationships, and why do you think that this is working versus the other ones did not work?
It's a different state of mind. So for the others, I wasn't really in the state of mind of creating a lasting relationship. It was mostly, okay, yeah, this is fun. This is going to be it for now. We don't know where this is going to lead. I don't know, even a couple months down the line, and we're not necessarily looking towards the future. It's mostly just, this is fun. Let's enjoy the moment. Let's enjoy each other and see where this comes off. Whereas in my current relationship, it was more of a challenge. So it was less of, all right, let's kind of wing it and see where this goes, and more of, all right, I really only want to be with you and you alone. So let's figure out how we're going to make this into like an actual relationship where it's a lot more give and take and a lot more of a balanced give and take rather than just winging it and seeing how it goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, is the thing about radio, you can see their facial features, and their faces they're making when you're saying. But I mean, it's extraordinary. It kind of gives away a little bit of energy of what may or may not be going on. But let me ask you this, Sienna. What made your current relationship worthy of being monogamous and worthy of being the relationship that you wanted to actually make work?
There's a different degree of trust in the relationship that I'm currently in than I had with all of the predecessors, the preceding relationships prior to this, and it's a trust that was kind of formed at the very early stages of the relationship. So it's knowing that the person who I'm in a relationship now actually made the conscious effort to say, okay, I'm not interested in being a random fling. It's you are who I want, and that's pretty much it.
Wow. So I get the impression that your man was ready for a serious relationship and you maybe were not.
That's very accurate.
And so what made you decide to take him up on the offer?
It seemed interesting is probably the most cut and dry way of saying it. It was a different set of challenges, a different adventure, and it was just at the same time I was also at the stage where I was getting bored with flings and bored with just casual flyby type of relationships, and wanted to know what it was like to be in a serious monogamous relationship.
Now, would I be correct in saying that you were still in your player mindset when you met this guy and he was not? Would that be correct in saying?
I wasn't a player. I definitely wasn't a player. I mean,
okay, all right. Maybe you wasn't a player, but maybe, what do you call that? There's a word that people use when they have no interest in being focused on that one individual. It's called what's the word? I think it is. Is it called, not freestyle, but
I have no freestyle is swimming. I don't know what word in particular you're looking
the
for.
word will come back to me. I know there's a word where a person who's in relationships is really have no concern or focus on getting married or being in a steady relationship. They just want to allow it to just flow. You know what that word is?
I do not.
All right, it'll come back to me before the program is over. This is getting very interesting and very hot. So, Sienna, let me ask you this. When you did find love, did it change the way that you thought about relationships versus prior to finding someone you thought was worthy to be in a one relationship with you? Did it change your mindset after being in that relationship which you're currently in?
Yes, on different levels. I think for the first level is it changed my mindset on how I'm to perceive like the male half of our species. Before it was very much
the male half of our species. Gentlemen, I'm not going to let her get away with that, right? Please elaborate. What do you mean? But I've never heard that term like that. The male half of our species. What does that mean?
Well, it's just males in general. That's the male half of our species. So I think...
Sounds like she hiding something, gentlemen. But go ahead.
I'm not hiding anything. So I think the general idea is that, we're brought to kind of see males as the ones who always want to dominate. They're brought up kind of thinking that they need to be this like constant dominating presence in a relationship and work or whatever. That's all well and good, but at the same time, when you're in a relationship and you start to actually look at the other person like as a person and not just as part of a group, you start to see a lot more of their quote unquote vulnerabilities, well, as much as he's willing to show you. And then you start to see other men as less of, people within a pack who have this kind of group mentality and this group think, and more of individuals who have their own sets of feelings and goals and who could potentially be hurt by X, Y, and Z.
It seems like you there was a growth process. It seems like prior to that you really wasn't thinking long term in relationships. Seems like you were thinking, okay, I'm gonna have a little fun, as long as nobody gets hurt, we're gonna be all right. And it seems like once you got into that serious relationship, you started looking at your significant other as a man instead of the male species, as you said earlier. Would I be correct in saying that or no?
I mean, that's true. But then with all things, like with any venture that you want to undertake, there has to be some measure of growth. Otherwise, there's no real point in taking that venture.
So explain to me, what has love taught you as a woman?
I think it's taught me to perceive people more as individuals and to understand that each individual has their own sets of needs and their own desires and their own wants, and that they all need to be fulfilled in some capacity. And if you don't fulfill it as the person's significant other, then there are a lot of gaps in the relationship that'll cause it to easily break. The temptation is everywhere. So you have to be attentive regardless of whatever is going on.
That's very powerful. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Bshani Love. I'm your host, Benny Randall Jr., aka the Motivator, aka the Concierge of Love. And we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned into Bshani Love right here on BshaniLove.com on the Bshani Digital Network. I'm speaking to Sienna. She's a powerful and successful woman, and we're speaking about love and relationships, and she was enlightening us on how she learned to love. Sienna, so let me get back to some things we were speaking about, and let me move forward simultaneously. One, how important are looks in finding the right relationship?
They're definitely important. You have to be attracted to the person to whom you intend to get into a relationship with.
So you mean there is not even a slight opportunity if the person is not attractive to you and you're not attracted to them?
I don't think there is. I mean, and granted, who you find attractive is definitely going to be relative. It's not going to be glossy magazine like man or woman necessarily. It's just who it is that jives with exactly what you're looking for.
Do you think women put a lot on how a person looks to determining whether they're going to go forward and even initiating some type of relationship?
Yes, but the same could be said of men as well. I don't believe that you're going to pursue anyone who you're not attracted to in some capacity.
Makes a lot of sense. So with that in mind, let me ask you this. When women see a man, do they put him in a category? And if so, what are those categories? Please be honest. That's what this is all about. Please, because I say that, ladies and gentlemen, because she gave this look on her face like, you really want me to tell you? Yes, I really want you to tell me.
I mean, at least for me, the categories aren't very cut and dry. It's a little bit fluid to some capacity. So you have those people who you know right away you don't have a physical attraction to, but you like their personality, or you like the way they talk, or they're interesting in conversations. Those are automatically in the friend zone. There's no really escaping the friend zone if you've been put in there, at least for me. That's
okay. So the first category is the friend zone, which most men, when you get in the friend zone, that means like, brother, you ain't gonna get none. That means, hey, buddy, how you doing, buddy? My buddy, And then they give you that little they give you that hug where they pat you on your back like you some damn type of dog or something.
No.
Go ahead. Okay, so tell me a little bit about the friend zone category.
I mean, the friend zone is just people who you enjoy spending time with, but you don't look at them as like a potential mate or a potential lover, or really a potential like anything intimate. They're just, you know them, they're good to talk to, they're genuinely good friends, and you have a genuinely platonic relationship with that person.
So would I be fair in saying that a person that gets put into the friend zone is somebody that you're not attracted to?
For me, yes.
Okay. All you can do is answer for you. So
exactly.
I mean, okay. All right. So if a man is not put in the friend zone, what is the next category?
I think the next category is the potentials. And potentials being...
wow. Elaborate the potentials. Gentlemen, I hope you're writing this down. The first is the friend zone. Second is the potentials. Go ahead, Sienna.
The potentials are those people who you do find attractive, but you don't necessarily know if like you would be compatible with them, or there's something that's holding you back from saying, yes, I want to pursue this person 100%. So they're your friends. Like they would occasionally,
no, they can't be your friends. You say they're potentials. Your friends
your
are
potentials could still be your friends. They could still be people that you hang out with on like a fairly frequent basis.
So what differentiates them from your friends?
You're actually attracted to this person. There is some
so
level of
they may
to
be
them.
able to get some
right
on the right night, little white night, little rainy, and feeling a little lonely. You ain't got nobody in your life, and then bam, is that what you're saying?
If the right circumstances are in place, there might be a potential for something to happen.
Show your ride, ladies and gentlemen. Show your ride. You heard it first right here. Are you done with the potential category?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
what is the next category?
I think the next category, and I only have 3, so the last one is just people who you genuinely just want to pursue. They're the ones who you look at and say, I want to be with this person. I want to know more about this person. I want to be with this person. And that's it.
And what do you call that category?
I don't have a name.
So you go from friend zone to the potential zone to the unknown.
I want you zone.
I like that. I like that she say I want you zone. All right. So the I want you zone is the ones who can have the potential of having a loving and lasting relationship and maybe even hubby material eventually, huh?
No, not necessarily.
Ooh, so if that's the case, Sienna, that means there has to be another category.
No, the thing is you don't know who your future husband or your future wife is going to be. They could very well
But you do have a good idea how they will be, like the type of characteristics they may need. Yes or no?
True, but the people that you're saying, "Oh, I want you," may not necessarily be the most compatible person for you. They may not necessarily be the person that you're meant to be with, even though you do really want this person and you want to be with that person. There are plenty of people who are in love with people who they just shouldn't be with, not necessarily because you can't force it to work out, but because it's
what
just
does that
not.
mean? I'm reading in between the lines here, and there's a little bit more to that, Sienna. If they're in the I want you category, I would assume that the I want you category would be the category that would allow it, if it happens, to go into the husband category or the wifey category.
It can, but so could the potentials. The whole point of the I want you category is you've seen the person, you're very attracted to that person, you want to be with that person. First and foremost,
so are you telling me the only difference?
So
you're telling me the only difference between the potential category and the I want you category is the amount of lust that you have for them?
Generally, yes.
Wow. That's all I'm gonna say, gentlemen. Wow. So if I'm hearing this right, Tiana, There is no hubby category.
I don't think you can
At least
put
in your
someone.
categories.
I mean, there. I suppose you'll always find someone who you could say, "Oh, so and so looks like they could potentially be a good husband or a good wife, or etc." But anyone can fit into that category where, if the right circumstances are there, if the two of you are genuinely compatible, if you are genuinely in love, they will elevate to whoever you want to marry. You don't necessarily look at someone and say, "Oh, he'll make a good husband." You just don't know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming down to the last segment. We'll be right back. You're listening to Bshani Love right here on BshaniLove.com. I'm your host, Benny Randall Jr., aka the Concierge of Love, and I'll be right back after these messages. And we're back. You're listening to Bshani Love right here on BshaniLove.com. If you are viewing this or listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe so that you can be aware of when we bring new and more powerful episodes. And if you're listening to this on the website, if you can please leave your name and email so we can notify you. You can be first when new and powerful shows of Bshani Love do happen. We are speaking to the lovely and beautiful, if I wish you guys could see what she looks like in the studio here, Sienna. She is absolutely a beautiful and successful and gorgeous woman. And we're talking about love and relationships. And in our last segment, we were talking about categories. And Sienna said she has 3 categories. She has the friendship zone. That means you won't be getting none and you'll be going home. She has the potential. That means if the circumstances are right, you may get a little ookie. And then she has the I want you zone. And that just basically means to her is that I want you. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I want you right now, damn it. That's what I got from that. Would I be on point with that analysis?
That's a good summary.
All right, no problem. Now, let's dive into the part every man and woman wants to hear about. How important is sex?
Very.
Whoa.
Very important.
She said that with passion, ladies and gentlemen. You hear me? She said very. Her whole demeanor just went, whoa. The reason why I asked this question to my guests that come on this show, Sienna, is because I hear a lot of married men say that they get less sex when they're married than when they're not married. How important is sex to you as a woman? And is there a difference between having sex versus making love?
I mean, sex is fun. Like you very much enjoy it once you kind of step out and explore into it. It's a very intimate moment. So it's like I don't know why you wouldn't have it, to be honest. Like if you're of age and you have the maturity to kind of understand what it is, understand kind of the consequences of it, and
18, ladies and gentlemen, because this is what type of show we run here, so I don't want to hear nothing below 18. So 18, but go ahead.
oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you have the maturity to kind of understand all the repercussions that come with it, it's a good time all around.
So is there a difference between love and sex?
Yeah.
Like when a man makes love to you, it is a different emotion and feeling than it is when a man just has sex with you.
I mean, I think that's a very romanticized way of just stating what the act is.
Please elaborate.
As in, I think the phrase making love is like, it's very exaggerated. It's the stuff of romance novels, the romance films, and it's cute and it's nice, but at the same time, like you are consummating a relationship, and at the end of the day, the word is sex, whether it's like hardcore or not. like no feelings attached type of bump and grind, or whether it's something a lot more like intimate and connected between the two people. Either way, you're having sex.
I hear a lot of women complain that men don't really know how to make love to a woman. What complaints have you had when it comes to making love and sex? Like, and what I mean by that, I'm not necessarily telling you to take us in your bedroom. That's not what I'm trying to say. The point, what I'm asking, in all the relationships you have had, what are men doing wrong?
That's loaded. I think you just have to understand that, like, real sex isn't a porno film. Like, the stuff that goes on there is very glitz and glam, and it's very catering towards a specific fantasy, which is why it's categorized in whatever sections are there. They know what they know what you want to see. They know how you want them to sound. Each actress and actor has their own little spiel, and that's what they're going to feed you. But you have to understand that there's a lot of things that kind of need to happen in a real one-on-one sexual relationship with a real partner that aren't necessary in those type of flicks. So things like understanding the importance of foreplay and understanding that it's not like a quick 1-2 and then you dive into it, and understanding that foreplay doesn't necessarily just have to be in the bedroom. It's like a full-time thing when you're in a relationship with a person, to like constantly reassure them that you want them, and reassure them that you find them sexy and you want to get to know them and you want to touch them, and understanding just what they need in order to feel special and to feel like just sexually powerful.
You know what I found interesting in your explanation of that is the comparison you made to porno versus reality. So my assumption would be is that you are open to looking at porno, or you've had some experience at looking at porno, and what I want to ask you is this: is porno okay in the bedroom or not?
It's okay to me. It depends on what you're comfortable with.
Wow, you got a lucky man, boy.
I mean, again, with all things, it really does depend on what your partners are comfortable with. If they don't want to see a film, they don't want to see a film. Some people think it detracts from the moment itself, and to a degree, it very well might be. Some people think that it helps foster like new creative ideas on how to please each other. Then by all means, bring it into the bedroom. But again, that all has to deal with communicating with each other and understanding what the other person expects in the bedroom.
Wow, that's intense. What other issues you think that men need to be aware of in making their woman satisfied? Because I hear a lot of women say in the bedroom they never actually really have an orgasm. Like, they go through the motions, they may get a little excited, and this is a grown show, so it is what it is. They may get a little wet or whatever, but they never really have an orgasm. How true is that?
I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of studies that say that it's true, and plenty of women's blogs you can read that say, oh, blah, 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 percentage of women haven't had an orgasm in their relationship, whether short-term or long-term. That's just what it is. But I think what you need to keep in mind is that everyone's body is different. So while the general stimulus might be the same, the general erogenous zones are in the same area, you can pull out a science book and figure that out. You have to understand your partner and understand not only what turns them on, but what it takes to get them over the edge. What type of like movements do you need to do? Do you need to talk to her? Like, is she a visual or auditory, or what type of touches does she like, or he like? And just explore. Like, sex is supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be about exploring and understanding and like just engaging in the moment.
That's very powerful, and you know that this show was created to have open communications about love, relationships, dating, and sex. And I would be unfair to those listening if I didn't ask this question, and that is, do you have problems having orgasms, or is your man doing you right?
No, I don't. I'm perfectly satisfied with my current sexual relationship. So
Wow, I don't, you notice that's why we didn't put their last names on this show, and you don't see a picture, because I wanted to create an environment where people can be totally honest and exciting. So, but all right. So, seeing that you're a significant relationship now, I hope your man don't get mad at us.
Hey, baby.
I'm just a host. I'm just a host. But seeing that you are satisfied right now, what advice can you give to women, and what advice can you give to men that are not being satisfied in the bedroom?
You have to talk about what your expectations are in the bedroom and what turns you on. And a lot of this may be about self-exploration as well, and all of the interesting things that comes up. And that can be a touchy subject, especially when it comes to female masturbation and all the taboos that kind of come with it, as opposed to male masturbation. But it's all about...
Wow, is it a taboo to masturbate? Are you saying that people find something wrong with the pleasure of self?
I mean, yeah, I think it does, because it's a very vulnerable type of situation, and I think it's projected in a way that says, oh, when you're masturbating, you're doing something wrong in a capacity, and you have to hide it and sneak around. And there are plenty of, I suppose, stories where a female might walk in on her boyfriend having some good times by himself, and she'll get upset. But it's I don't think that's
why would a woman get upset about that? A bit because she feel like she's been left out or something?
Yeah, but it might be sensitivity. Like, she feels she's being left out. She feels as though if she's actually satisfying you, you wouldn't need to do that. Or there are plethora of reasons, I'm sure. But again, you have to understand what turns you on, whether you're a male or a female, and you're not really going to know that unless you know your own body.
Do you think people are too dramatic when it comes to pleasing yourself? And I've always had the understanding that if you learn to please yourself, then you always learn to please others. So self pleasure to me is should be a prerequisite before you get into a relationship. What do you think?
I think that's a saying that doesn't necessarily fit for intercourse.
I'm sorry. Well, please elaborate. I apologize.
Because understanding yourself doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to understand your partner's body. So even regardless of what type of relationship
well, why wouldn't you? Because if you understand yourself, then you will definitely have a little bit more awareness of the other person and whether they are being pleased or not being pleased, and maybe some things you may need to do to make sure that they are getting pleased.
No, not necessarily, because you need to understand your body in the capacity of saying, this is what I like, this is what turns me on, but what turns you on isn't going to be the same thing that turns your partner on. So if you're in a heterosexual relationship, your bodies are very different. It doesn't make sense that your erogenous zones or your pleasure spots are going to be the same as your partner's. If you're in a homosexual relationship, at the same time, yes, you have the same bits, but again, what turns you on may not necessarily turn your partner on.
Let me ask you something. As a woman who's in a significant relationship at this moment, how important is it to explore fantasies? And do you explore fantasies with your significant other?
I think exploring fantasies just has to deal with exploration, period. So what that means to you and what that means to your relationship, again, is very subjective, and I've said that several times already. But you have to be open to exploring new experiences, especially if you're in a long-term relationship, because it can get dull. Like you have to be open to saying, okay, we've done this, how about we try this, for example. And again, all about open communication, knowing what the boundaries are, knowing how comfortable your partner is, whether it's actually going to turn them on or if it's not. Like, you have to talk about these things and be open and comfortable with them in whatever environment you need to place yourself in to have that conversation, or to have at least some sort of interaction where that's communicated needs to happen.
The number one fantasy of men, and most men probably won't say this out in public, but I'm going to say it because that's what this show is all about, is usually having a third party in there, another female. Do you think men ask for too much when they ask for that?
I think they do. Namely because if you're in a relationship with a man and you're a female who's just completely straight, have no interest in anyone of the same gender, why are you expected to be in a relationship with, or be in any sort of intimate situation with someone of the same gender? It would be akin to us asking for, another male somehow in there. And again, if you're both comfortable with inviting a third party, whether it be another woman or another man, then by all means, please do so. But if they say that's not what they're interested in, then be respectful of those boundaries.
Do you think when it comes to fantasies, it's necessary, or do you think that's just people living out their little fantasies in their head and it really don't matter one way or the other?
Are you saying, do I think fantasies are necessary, or do I think this threesome fantasy is necessary?
Both.
I don't think any fantasy is necessary. It's just what turns you guys on and what keeps it interesting in the bedroom for the two of you.
So I would assume if that's men number one fantasy, what would be women's number one fantasy? From what you've just heard talking to your girlfriends and friends, and you're a grown ass woman. So what have you heard, if you had to statistically go back and think about what your girlfriends have said per se is their fantasy? What would be one of women's number one fantasy?
I suppose it's the flip side to men's, where you want to bring another male potentially into the relationship.
Into the relationship as a whole, or
No,
into the fantasy experience?
Into that particular fantasy experience. And I think part of that comes from wanting to be attended to. And that goes both ways.
So it's more of you're going to kind of be dominated somewhat. Is that what it was really? You saying attended to, meaning I would assume you're meaning you're getting all the attention.
Yeah, but getting all the attention is also different from dominance, so there should be a clear distinction on that as well.
You have no issues with attention, but it seems like you might have a little issues with dominance.
Dominance is a powerful word, and especially within the sexual realm, it has its own set of connotations. So when you're saying, okay, someone wants to be dominated, it has different degrees, and it has just different variances that you kind of have to be aware of.
You stop abruptly there. Not sure why, but I guess the point I'm getting from you is that dominance has its place, but not necessarily what the fantasy is all about.
Well, exactly. Again, wanting to have someone attend to you doesn't necessarily mean that you want them to dominate over you. That those are very different feelings, and those are very different needs.
What do women need in the bedroom?
I can't
tell. If I ask you three things, what do women desire in the bedroom?
I don't like vague questions like this.
Well,
'Cause I can't
I'm
speak
just,
for all women.
no, and I got that, but I'm just trying to get into the psyche of what someone, because we're gonna have plenty of women on here, and we would have plenty of men. So I just want to make sure at each opportunity we have the opportunity to get into the psyche of how women think, because each woman is going to be totally different, but I guaranteed over a period of time we'll start to see some similarities. So that's why I ask these questions.
Okay. I suppose if I had to give an answer, you want someone who is, again, attentive to what your particular body wants and who knows how to read your body language and can give you the type of pleasure that you're looking for. At the same time, you want them to attend to you psychologically. So not only just, all right, we're gonna 9 o'clock rolls around, starting to get sleepy, we're gonna go to bed and bang it out. Like, there has to be
Go to bed and bang it out. Y'all heard that?
I mean, there has to be a seduction that goes on throughout the day, and there's a level of intimacy that's not just sexual that needs to.
So is that
predicate.
is that mental, or is that foreplay?
I mean, foreplay does have like a psychological play to it. It's not. They're not separate in any capacity. Like they're very much interlinked.
Very, very, very powerful. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is sex in a relationship?
It's a good, like, solid 8. Like, it has to be there, but it doesn't have to be like the end all be all of the relationship.
Oh, all right. So if sex is a solid 8, how important from 1 to 10 is communication?
That's a 10, for sure.
And from 1 to 10, how important is attraction?
That's a 10 as well. Again, it goes back to what I said earlier of I don't think you can be in any sort of relationship with someone that you're just not attracted to. You're not going to hit it off.
So looking at your stats, communication is a 10.
Yeah.
Sex is a 8.
Mm-hmm.
And attraction is a 10.
Yes.
So in your point of view, in your lovely opinion, communication and attraction are more important than intimacy?
There's no cut and dry, like, yes or no type of answer to
I want
this
y'all
yet.
to know that she has a really big smile on her face while she is answering this. So I'm not sure if she's telling the whole truth or because she know that this show is recorded and she don't want to be held accountable.
I'm telling the whole truth. Like, there's no cut and dry answer to any of these questions. It's not going to be, yes, like, this is it, and this is how it's going to be, and that is the end all be all of this. No, like, all of these things are interconnected, and they're all necessary to form a healthy, like, regular relationship, and at the same time, a healthy sexual relationship. You can't say one is going to take dominance over the other. You can't say that I find XX more important than Y, because they're all needed in equal parts.
If sex was no longer a part of your relationship, but communication and attraction was still there, would you remain in the relationship?
At that point, you're just friends. So
Wow.
why are you? I think one of the identifying features of being in a relationship, at least like when you're ready, is to have some sort of intimacy, or to know that eventually this will lead to a joining of your bodies. There are people who would prefer to wait until marriage to do that, but that's fine. But at the end of the day, you know that it's going to happen.
You said they are just friends, and I said the reason why I asked that question because I was just psychologically trying to understand the magnitude of how important sex was when you just told me that communication, attraction are a 10 and sex is a 8. So I was wondering if you take the sex filter out, where maybe this person has become disabled where they can no longer be sexual, does that automatically make the relationship void?
Oh, that's a whole different question. Like, entirely.
Why is that?
Because I'm not saying sex is innate as in if it weren't there, then your relationship is dead in any capacity. Like, that's
what you just said earlier.
No, by saying sex is innate is saying whether it's like mind-blowing, like heart-throbbing, like good times, or whether it's just like regular good sex. Like, it is what it is. It's whatever you're comfortable with. It's important, but it's not the end-all be-all of a relationship. So it needs to be there in some capacity, at least to my knowledge, or at least some sort of intimacy to supplant it. But for me, it has to be there.
All right. All we can talk about is you and understanding that just maybe others may feel the same way you do. So that's all I mean. Here's Sienna. Here's what I want you to understand, and I really appreciate you being here. We're about to get into the end of this show, and all I'm trying to discover with this show is 4 categories: relationship, love, dating, and sex. And how can we get more people that are in relationships to stay together? Because the divorce rate, they say, is more than 50 or 60% at this moment in time. And there's just so many things. It seems like people no longer want to stay together for long periods of time. It seems like a lot of relationships are becoming business transactions per se. And I'm just trying to get to the root of what love should be about, and where do we go wrong versus how our parents loved and how they stayed with each other. In closing, I'd like to ask you, give me a summary of what you think can be to improve the dynamics of relationships.
I think one is taking your time at the very beginning of a relationship to understand your partner and understand your potential partner. And I think one of the contributing factors to the high divorce rate is simply because you're not taking the time to really understand who you're getting into a relationship with and understand whether you can actually be with this person for an extended period of time. Like, it's one thing to kind of hang out with this person, and it's another thing to live with this person, and it's another thing to actually be married to this person. They're different commitment levels, different expectations, and all these things need to be taken a lot more seriously than I think they are right now. And as it is right now, it's very easy to say, all right, if we don't work out, I mean, we'll go our separate ways. I think it's taken too flippantly. And at the same time, you can't necessarily compare it to earlier generations because there's a stigmatism there to divorce that's not necessarily there now. So whereas before it was okay, and there's stigmatism between the genders as well. So before it was okay, you are a divorced female, and that automatically puts you in the no longer eligible to be anyone's wife, period, category. And that's frightening. And that's a reason why a lot of people stayed in relationships that may not necessarily have worked out for them. The stigmatism isn't there anymore. And a lot of it has to do with just the growing movement of women who are now like working for their dollar and understanding what their self-worth is. And it's not a bad thing. It's just you have to then say, okay, the times are changing. This is how the relationship scene is now. What do I need to do in order to create that healthy, lasting relationship that I want? And what is it about myself that I can kind of enhance without changing who I am at the core center to say, okay, this is who I am. By all means, come get to know me. I'll get to know you. We'll create this union together with two people who genuinely have a connection.
Sienna, I want to thank you for being here. Any final words?
No, I think just talk to each other, guys. Like, get to know each other. Like, relationships aren't easy by any capacity, but nor do they have to be hell on earth. Like,
I really appreciate your honesty, because I know it's very hard sometimes to answer questions that have to do with your private relationship, and you seem to be a very private individual, so I appreciate you agreeing to our invitation to be on BshaniLove.com. And I think in these conversations we will explore that every individual that comes here has something to offer, and I think I learned a little bit today from you, and I wish you all the best between you and your significant other, and I personally just hope I get an invitation to the wedding.
of course.
Alrighty, because it seems like you're happy now, and it seems like it may be going to that walking down the aisle stage. Will I be correct in saying that?
You would be accurate in saying that, yes.
Wow, that's so special. I really appreciate when people are in love. You know what I mean? They're about love, and it appears that that's exactly where you're at. And Sienna, once again, I want to thank you for coming on Bshani Love.
Thank you for inviting me. I look forward to hearing what else comes through.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. And if you didn't learn anything from this conversation, let me leave you with this thought. Love is exactly what you make it. Every individual has their own opinion of what love means to them. There is no right or wrong when it comes to love. I believe there's just simply what's right for you at that moment in your life. It is my hope and it is my prayer that we will find more love between individuals. I believe we are in a time where people have forgotten how to love. Not only forgotten how to love each other, but forgotten how to love ourselves. It is my mission with Bshani Love to hopefully create a dialogue, and within that dialogue, somebody gets some nuggets. Someone gets some very valuable things that may help them get through the relationship they may be in at this moment, or get out of the relationship that they may be staying too long in. And if I can help one person with this show, then I think I've done a great job. I'm your host, Benny Randall Jr., aka the Concierge of Love, aka the Motivator, baby. If you want to reach out to me, you can go to BshaniLove.com. That's BSHANILOVE.com. Leave your email, name, and if you have a question, we'll start doing a segment on this show called Ask the Concierge of Love. And I will do my best to take the best questions and possibly answer them on air. We can't guarantee you we will, but we will do our best. BshaniLove.com. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe to this video so that we can send you out more and you'll be the first to know. And if you're not, go on our website and be a part of the conversation. And we do have a private Facebook group called Bshani Love, where you can be a part of that. I'm Benny Randall Jr., aka the Concierge of Love. And whatever you do, if you can't find love, give love. Until next time, I love you, and you can't do a damn thing about it. Take me out.